beast! Ah!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Not the Bees, the Nicolas Cage filmography podcast. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Megs.
And this week we watched 2008's Bangkok Dangerous. It's got 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is just not accurate because this movie slaps.
Yeah, it does.
And it's directed by the Pang brothers, who did one of my favorite Asian horror films of all time called The Eye.
Yes.
So, very excited. Joe, played by Nicolas Cage, is a professional freelance contract killer who works strictly by the rules, never socializing outside of his work, staying secluded in quiet spots, never interacting or meeting with his handlers, and always leaving on time without a trace. He uses multiple aliases and usually hires small-time criminals, such as, but not limited to, young pickpockets who can speak some English, as his local help and middlemen between him and his handlers, always murdering them at the end of the job to prevent any identification. He also carries a watch to perform a hit in specific time and correctly visualizes every target. After completing a hit in Prague and killing his help there, Joe travels to Bangkok for an assignment to assassinate 4 people for notorious Bangkok crime boss Surat, whom he never meets. Joe occasionally provides insight via voiceover narration throughout the film. He hires a local Thai pickpocket named Kong as his go-between in Bangkok, a condition of the contract being that the gang will never meet Joe. Joe keeps Kong on a strict don't stop for anything rule. Contracts from the Bangkok gangsters are passed to Kong one by one via a nightclub dancer named Aom. Joe's first execution in Bangkok is done on motorcycle. When the target car stops at a red light, Joe kills all the occupants. Kong retrieves information about the second target, again via Aom, and the pair become friendlier with every contact. Before Joe executes his mission, Kong informs him of the target, Parad Junsa, another notorious gang lord and Surat's rival crime boss, who acts as a sex trafficker, buying young girls from impoverished parents and selling them for sex. Joe sneaks into the target's penthouse and drowns him in his pool. Unsatisfied with Kong's assistance, Joe contemplates killing him, but abandons this idea after witnessing a bruised Kong return, having been ambushed by small-time thugs over a briefcase containing information files of Surat's/Joe's targets. Joe takes Kong under his wing and becomes his mentor, training him with defensive techniques after witnessing a bruised Kong return to the hideout. Midway, Joe meets Fawn, a deaf, nonverbal pharmacist, with whom he becomes intrigued after a brief consultation. Joe later returns to the pharmacy to invite Fawn out for dinner. Soon after Joe falls for Fawn and meets her mother, the affair is cut short when he shoots and kills 2 armed muggers in Fawn's presence. Blood splatters on Fawn and she runs off, trembling and traumatized by the violent death. Feeling betrayed, Fawn cannot forgive Joe and ends their relationship. Before the third kill, the gang attempts to identify Joe but fail to track him, and Joe warns Surat never to follow him. For the third execution that takes place at a floating market, Kong assists Joe. The kill does not go as planned, and the target, a playboy and a criminal underworld associate, nearly gets away, but Joe manages to catch and assassinate him. Before beginning his last mission, Joe visits Fawn, presumably to say goodbye. She initially ignores him, but as Joe begins to drive away, she runs after his car. His fourth target is the Prime Minister of Thailand, who is revered by many, but a great hindrance to Surat due to his hardline crackdown on organized crime. Joe is about to make the kill when he has a second thought, is spotted, and escapes through the panicked crowd. Meanwhile, the gang has abducted Aom, and Kong and Surat threaten Aom in exchange for Joe's location. Joe, now a target, is attacked at his house by 4 of Surat's henchmen. He uses explosives to take them out, and is faced with the choice of rescuing Kong or leaving the country unharmed. Joe decides to rescue Kong, so he sets off to the gang's headquarters with one of their half-alive attackers. Joe goes to the gang's headquarters, kills most of the gang, including Surat's underboss/bodyguard, who is blown in half by explosives, and he saves Kong and Aom. A fearful gang leader flees to his car with 3 other accomplices. Joe spots him and shoots the gang members, and then gets into the back of the seat with Surratt. As the police arrive at the location, Joe realizes he only has 1 bullet. He puts his head adjacent to Surratt's, puts the gun to his temple, and pulls the trigger, killing himself and Surratt. The end. Megan.
Yes.
What did you think of our movie?
As you said at the beginning, this movie slaps. I'm a fan of action movies. It's probably my overall favorite genre because I really enjoy the urgency. I love the pacing of action movies because there's always something happening. There's always something to hold your attention, to grab it, to keep it there. The gore in this movie is actually really kind of cool. And like, it's not just blood, right? Like there's one scene, I think it's the third guy at the floating market, where the way that he kills him, there's like this big chase on the boats or whatever. He hops off, gets on a motorcycle, and then jumps back onto the dude's boat. He actually like removes one of his hands at the forearm with the propeller from the boat, and like his detached arm is laying there, and it's still like twitching like you would expect it to be, and it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look fake. Like it looks well done.
Yeah.
When Surratt's underboss, his second in command, gets blown in half, like his like you see like his torso, like the top half of him, and like where it's disconnected, like it's like still pulse, like it's, and it looks real.
Yeah.
Like it looks like very practical effects to me. It doesn't look like it's CGI at all.
Yeah.
I could be wrong,
It's not, but yeah.
Yeah. I really like this movie. And I also really like Nick Cage in this, so I don't want my next statement to take away from that. But the entire movie, there was a thought that just kept going through my head. Like, Nicolas Cage is good. He's really good in this movie, but I just couldn't help thinking that, like, Keanu Reeves would have been better. I don't know.
Not 2008 Keanu Reeves.
You're probably right. It would have to be like today's Keanu Reeves. That's fair.
Right, because we've seen him be John Wick in like 5 movies.
4, yeah. I don't know if he was in The Ballerina. I haven't seen it, but no, you're right, because this was in 2008, and he wasn't that far removed from The Matrix, and he was very young. He was very, very young, still in the early aughts. That's fair. That's fair. But I still very much enjoyed Nicolas Cage's performance.
I did too. I thought he brought a lot to it. I thought he's very stoic in this, and I liked that for him. I liked the way that he played it. His eyeliner was ridiculous.
Agree. 100% agree.
But I liked his hair a lot in this.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a really great job. He's a badass in this. I wrote the note. He's such a badass in this.
He is a badass. He's absolutely a badass. He's very calculated, but not in a cold way. He acts very coldly, but he's not. And like his voiceover tells you time and time again, and we don't know why this man is alone. We don't know why this man has this job. We don't know anything really about his past. Just this is what he does now, and that's fine. But it's clear that he's very alone, but probably doesn't want to be. He seems to be very lonely in what he's doing, and there's some aspect of what he does that bothers him, but it does very much just be, like, it's just a job to him. It's very much just his career. It's what he does best, and that's how he makes his money. And that doesn't really bother him, enough to stop or just to have never done it, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a very fleshed out character in this movie. I can't believe it only has 9% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because what in the literal fuck?
Yeah, this is, I mean, I can see it not being like a very high ranking movie. Like, right, that's fine, but
it's not The Rock. It's not Face Off. It's a much more subdued performance. It's a much more interesting performance. And I think that it holds its effects wise, and it's, action sequence wise, it holds itself with those other Nick Cage movies. I don't get where a 9% comes from.
I mean, I do know that this movie is based on a 1999 movie that I think is actually like a Thai film original. Which, I mean, listen, if you're a purist of that kind of persuasion, I can understand. I've seen a lot of Asian horror movies that have been remade by Americans that have just not been as good. For instance, Ringu, The Ring, we know as The Ring here in the US, but Ringu is actually so much more terrifying than The Ring ever could be.
It's the same with the Pang brothers, The Eye. It was remade
absolutely
for American audiences, and it was just not nearly as scary.
Oh my God. And like The Eye wasn't even like, it was terrifying for sure, but it wasn't even like the terror. Like, there's so many dimensions of just like human psychology to that film.
Yeah.
It's just so amazing, but the westernized version of it just misses the mark. And maybe that's part of it. Like, that's where my thinking is going, because a lot of the reviews that I've read have been things like, you know, it's toneless, or it's boring, or the action isn't there. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what you're talking about. I mean, it's not a very like high action hand-to-hand combat kind of film, I'll give you that. But I mean, we're literally talking about an assassin. Their job is not to be, you know, big, brutish, gaudy fights. It's to be quiet, unobserved, and fade into the shadows. So, I mean, the violence is always going to be, in this type of movie, somewhat diminished, rather than like a John Wick kind of situation, who is also an assassin, but like he also exists in a universe where that is an actual job. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think he played it well. I think he played the assassin part well. I think he played the loner sort of situation well. I think that the romance between him and Fawn was very adorable. It's a very classic, like, stumbling love story that they fall into because they can't really communicate, but they communicate so much without words. It's very intensely emotional. I don't know. I think that this movie is well above a 9. I mean, it's definitely way better than that. I don't know. Like,
so like, what would you rate this movie?
I'm very inclined to give it like a B+. I really enjoyed it. It caught me within 3 minutes. It never slowed down. The relationship between Joe and Kong is honestly really adorable to me, because like,
yeah,
like this guy Kong, like, is a smart kid. Most of the guys that he picks up end up being like drug dealers and stuff like that. Like the guy that we see at the beginning of the film when he's finishing that job in Prague, it's very clear that he is an addict. And that's how Joe kills him, by using, you know, his drug. But like, Kong is just sort of like a street hustler.
Yeah.
He's just a guy that like is down on his luck, and he's trying to like hawk goods in you know, in alleys and streets and, you know, big ways. And like, you know, this job just kind of like falls into his lap, but he's not intimidated by his boss. And Joe sees that, and I don't know. I think
he even takes
really
Kong under his wing and shows him how to fight after Kong almost gets jacked for the suitcase that he's carrying, and he manages to run away with the briefcase and get the briefcase back to Joe. Joe is like, you know, looking at him like, and Kong asks him, "Please teach me how to fight," and he does it.
Yeah.
What would you rate Cage's performance?
I think that I would probably give him an A for this.
I was thinking so too.
Yeah, this is a good movie. This is a solid action film. We haven't even talked about like the technical aspects of it. Like, a lot of it takes place at night, so a lot of it's very dark, but it's very well lit. The city looks very alive. It's almost like its own character. It's edited very well. I don't think the script is very strong, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, a lot of some of the better action movies that we've seen don't really have strong scripts, because they're more focused on the action playing out, and that's fine. That's kind of, I think for me, at least, why I really like action movies, because I don't have to think about it. I can just focus on the action and watch what's going on and feel the impact of all of the different things that all of the characters go through and who they develop into. And like, I don't really have to care about the story in order to see like people's lives crash together and how situations end up. But yeah, I don't know, this movie, it's definitely a B for me, but it's also definitely an A. Cage performance. He brought his A game to this. And all of the other actors, who I apologize, I don't know because I am an ignorant American and I don't watch a whole lot of foreign film, also amazing performances. This is a very well acted film.
I agree. And I agree with your ratings.
That's good. It's been a while since we've fully agreed on a movie. But I mean, this movie's really good. This movie's better than I expected it to be.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I think my expectations were going into it were kind of low because I saw that 9%.
Yeah.
And it blew that misconception out of the water. So,
yeah.
Do you have anything else to say?
No, I think that's it. I think this is a solid movie. I think it's worth a watch. I think it's a very watchable movie. It's only an hour and 40 minutes. Yeah.
There you have it, kids. It's a B+ movie with an A Cage performance. And like she said, it's only an hour and 40 minutes, so check it out. But that's going to do it for us tonight. As always, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you interacting with this episode in any way that you can. We are on all of your podcast catchers, including YouTube, and we are on Patreon at Not the Bees. So if we thank you again for hanging out with us tonight. We'll see you again next week. I've been Elizabeth.
And I've been Megs.
And we'll see you next time.